Molweni. Ndingudumo Jebesemfenqeni. Once again, welcome to the conversation. Enkosi kakhulu ngoba uphinda uthatha ithuba uzokuba kunye nathi. Umbuzo ke unokuma kwinto ethi Dumo, kutheni uxele kangaka kule nto yokuzazi ezumzali? Andinoba mdala kangaka kanti I don't know myself. The reason I am so emphatic with regards to the importance of self-awareness as a parent is the fact that the roles we play, the caps that parents wear, tend to determine or define who they are. Ufumanisa into yokokubana if umzali kunokuxuthwa yonke irole ayidlalayo, uhamba azibone ngathuze ngenxa yokuba ethe wawuthwala umthwalo we-responsibility ayinikiweyo, because ukunikezwa abantwana is a responsibility. Ukunikezwa umsebenzi is a responsibility. Ngomntana onaye unxiba uxanduva lokokuba kufuneka umondlile, kufuneka umnxibile, kufuneka umkhulisile, kufuneka umfundisile. And in the process, you might find that you have lost yourself, your individual identity. God forbid, masithi kwenzeke umluze umntwanakho, ubaluze abantwana bakho, uziluze izinto nazo, ungubani wena? Okunye, the reason why I am so emphatic on this issue is that umzali ends up taking ihlazo lomntwanakhe ibe ngathi lihlazo lakhe. They take mistakes zabantwana babo ibe ngathi zi-mistakes zabo. You are not defined as a parent by who and what your child is. In the same way, you have not turned out to be a duplicate of what your parents aspired or hoped you would become. And this is from a flip side ye coin. Abanye abantu bakhuliswe ngabazali okanye i-caregivers, because not everybody was raised by their biological parent. Abanye bakhuliswe zi-biological parents ebezingenayo i-vision yokubakhulisa. Bazi adults namhlanje, but zi-adults ezazi kakuhle ukuba they've had to fend for themselves, because the people who raised them did not have good intentions about their lives. Baphushuluka kwezo zinto and they became the people that they are. Abanenjongo ezintle of how they would like to raise their own children. Ithetha ukuthi ke ngoku indlela orhalela umntana wakho abe ngayo ngumnqweno wakho and you are going to work towards it. But it doesn't solemnly depend on you. You can try your best and you can do A, B, C, D in how you are raising your child to become le nto unqwenelela yona. But if umntana wakho doesn't turn out that way, wena ungubani? So that's why, bethunana, for me, this is very critical. And it needs to be the foundation of uba siqalaphi. When all is said and done, kunohluthwa yonke into nayo, is self-awareness. Ziphi ii-weaknesses zam? Amandla amalelepi. Ukwenzela into yoba ndikwazi uaddressa my weaknesses. Ndikwazi as well to shine with my strengths. And ndizokwazi nokufundisa abantwana bam nge-value system yam, because I know who I am. And I am willing to learn as I diversify. Ukwenzela uba ndikhule, because we are continuing to grow. You might be 40 years, you might be 50 years, uselapha usaphila, kufuneka ukhulile, which will mean you will continue to diversify. And what I want us to guard against is the fact that si assume ukuthi in growing everyone diversifies ngokukhula or ngoku-improve. Because kukhona abantu esibabukelayo bethunana ababuyela umva, bayakhula, age bheka phambili, nemizimba iyakhula, izenzo. So these are the things we need to think about. Ungubani wena. Center yourself as the parent and identify who you are. That brings me to the second part, which is background. Bethunana kukhona indidi ze-families. Abanye abantu barezwe kwi-nuclear families, like your traditional family system. Abanye barezwe zi-single parents, whether ukhuliswe ngutata okanye ukhuliswe ngumama. Abanye abantu bakhuliswe zi-adoptive parents, and they have got izinto ezinhle ngalo setup abakhulele kuzo, but they've also been exposed to certain challenges. Abanye abantu bakhuliswa zi-extended families. Abanye abantu bakhuliswe ngomakhulu notamkhulu. Omama baba basaphili, abanye bayaphila. Uzothi sisi kumama athi bhuti kutata, ekhuliswa ngumakhulu notamkhulu. So zininzi indidi ze-families esikhulele kuzo. And apho sikhulele khona, depending on izinto beziqhubeka kwi-setting yethu yokukhula, they have shaped you into the person you have become, whether positive or negative. People need to tap into how they were raised themselves, because not everybody agrees with how they were raised. Abanye abantu are now raising their children to try and give them a better life based on how they experienced their own upbringing. So if masithi wena ubukhulela kwifamily enkulu, such a big extended family, and there were challenges ozibonileyo ukuthi amani ifamily enkulu inengxaki. There are people aba-experience traumas within their families, and they decided to detach from families because of things they went through that exposed them ekufilisheni unsafe in their families. So from those experiences, they took certain decisions that have informed ukuthi mna njengomzali kowam umntana ndifilisha ukuthi ukumkhusela mayibe ndim nomntanam apha kwesi space. Abanye have had issues with their families that have resulted in them taking decisions that have meant that kufuneka bephile in isolation from their families. So there are things, experiences from our backgrounds that have shaped the people that we are to our children. Ndifuna ukukhumbuza ke into yoba xa uraise umntana wena ngoku, then remember that obu bomi uphila nomntwanakho naye ukweyakhe formation stage sokuba wena naye ni build background yakhe. And some of your lessons learned have not been lived by your child. Ezakhe lessons uzifunda kule journey azawube hamba nawe kuyo. Kukhona traumas people that have gone through in their lives. And because of those traumas that they've gone through, zeba shape into behaving in a certain way. They take a certain posture and address issues ngendlela ethile, ngenxa ye-trauma badlule kuzo. Ezinye izinto umzali akaziqondi noziqonda ukuba une-avoidant behavior towards zona. Uyaziphepha, uyazidoja, and your aim is to protect your child. But at times, they are even unable to open the door to letting the kids know what is it that has made me as umzali ndibe nje, whether ngumama, whether ngutata, whether i-adoptive parent, whether ngubani, whether ngubani. So I want every parent, ijeni yomzali nomntwana wakhe iqala ngomzali ubazazi ubungubani. Because before you attempt to define your child and your relationship with your child, it starts with you knowing who you are, knowing your background, knowing what has made you the person that you are, knowing what has given you the character, the personality, the value system that you have. Because this background that we are talking about, it has shaped your value system. And it is that value system that you then begin to try and impart in your own child. So the first part of this conversation, bandakwethu, bendirhalela intoba siyijonge loo nto. One of the most painful experiences I witnessed kwixesha apho ekusebenzeni kwam bendisebenza as a therapist, ibiba kukubona umzali nomntana, two people who love each other dearly, but disconnected. And you realize into kokuba the disconnection between these people ayikuba yinto ebi beyond redemption, ayikuba yinto ebebengenokwazi ukuyizama, but siyeke ithanda a crack. We have let a crack extend, a small one extend deeply, de kube ngathi it's irreversible. So at the core of our conversation, I want us to tap into who we are. As umzali, ungubani. And as you begin to answer that, as you begin to unpack it apha kuwe, ezaa ntlungu udlule kuzo ungazithethiyo, kukhona abantu guys abadlule kumanyundululu efamily zabo abawathethi namntu. They've never resolved those issues, but they have shaped how they behave and how they want their children to behave. They don't want to talk about them. And yet they'd start to reflect ebantwini. There are people who have had to raise their children alone. And yet the plan was not to raise them alone. One of izinto that I got as such wisdom from one of the conversations I have had with women who have experienced separation, divorce, and so forth. One woman said to me, xana ndimbuza intoba wenze njani ubukwazi intoba umntanakho abe nobudlelwane notatakhe ngolu hlobo. Wathi, the one revelation I had was that ndilujongile usana lwam. If ndifuna uthanda lo mntana ngendlela adiserve uthandwa ngalo, funeka ndixolele utatakhe. Uthi ndathatha isigqibo sokuxolela utatakhe khona ukuze ndikwazi uthanda umntanam ngendlela adiserve ukuthandwa ngayo. So as parents, I think we need to find a place of tapping into i-identity yethu. Makazazi umzali ubungubani. Makazikhangele umzali ukuba ungubani. Makabe ne-definition yokuba ungubani. Because sifuna into yokubana angathi umzali xa nomntana ephuma ethatha isharp corner, umzali acinga into obidefine yena. And our society izawulungiswa sithi, because our society projects the failures of abantwana ebazalini. Whilst there will be things okwaziyo into obube accountable ngazo, but one thing you need to remember and know and understand is that children are also individuals in their own journey of becoming. In the same way you have become what you have become and who you have become. So you have taken certain decisions for yourself nawe esikwenza ube ngulo muntu unguye. Naye umntwana wakho kukhona izigqibo ekuzafuneka ezithathile ngoba kubomi. Does that mean Dumo it's going to be easy? No. No. It can't be. Does it mean kukhona formula? I don't think so. I don't think there is a formula. There is no one size fits all. But ifuna ukuba siqale thina ngokudevelopa ubuthina such that nokuba kwenzeka ntoni ngomso ukwazi uphinda uyowuprikwa kuthiwe khawuvumbulula udumo ungubani wena, zintoni iziloto odlule kuzo, what have you overcome? What have you overcome to get to where you are today? Who are you? Once you develop that, that is the person you are going to share with your children. That is the person you are going to display to your children. You will display who you are. You will display where you come from. You will display your victories. You will display your aspirations ngobomi babo. You will impart your value system in them. But we will then explore as uba siqhubeka ngokuthi kwicala lamntana mhlambi masijonge ntoni and sikhumbule, yazi if ujonga abantwana bezalwa ngumntu, even wena ne-siblings zakho, uyawumangala ukujonga uba ni-unique kangakanani, uzibuze Thixo abazali bakhuphe njani nathi sinje, nyani benze njani. And uthi naxa sewuzama ubuyela back uqonda uba yiyo hayi aba bazali babesenza njani, but benza. Did you agree with everything that they said? No. Some of the lessons that they were imparting in you, you have only come to realize them now that you are an adult. Some of the mistakes you made, they had warned you. They forewarned you about them. But wangena zoba kula mistake bebekulumkisa ngayo. But today you reflect and you go, eish. The old and the wise had warned me about this. So I want us to dive into who we are. Tap into the uncomfortable conversations with yourself about where you come from. Heal from the pain of your past. Heal from the traumas of your past, so that you can be able to impart kubantwana that you have been trusted with. Whether you are a single parent, whether you're a couple, whether you are married, whether you are with your partner, whether nikhulisa abantwana kwi-setting enjani. As individuals, let's find our place of healing so that we can center ourselves. Sizokwazi ukuphila ngendlela esimele ukuphila ngayo. Sizokwazi ukujongana nemeko esimele ujongana nazo. Sizawuthi chuke bethunana siqhubeni ngolu hlobo simane sizincokola. I will appreciate your feedback, your comments, your likes, your dislikes about the content. I want us to challenge ourselves and make sure into yokokubana we get to a place of fully finding our authentic being, so that xa sithi reach out to the young ones, sibanike izinto ezizawubancedisa uba bakwazi ukumelana neli lizwe limakatha ahlabayo. Thank you for joining me in this part 2 edition. Sizawuphinda sibonane ke xana siphinda siqhubeka netopic yethu. Enkosi.